And we're live. I'd like to welcome all the viewers, none of you, to I think this is my third live rant, or is this the fourth? I lost track.
This is the third one.
Third live rant. Return of the rant. In case anybody can't tell, I've been giving them Star Wars name themes. Today's rant's going to be about Shockwave, and I'd like to thank my special guests to the live rant for all the Decepticon, cuz Tank.
You stole my thunder, you bastard.
No, all the thunder goes to one of the other special guests, Thundercracker.
What's up, motherfucker?
And the ever-hot Pyrostrata.
What's up?
So, start this, I don't know if people who actually watch this shit are going to be disappointed or not, because I'm going to talk about how much I love Shockwave. Shockwave is one of my favorite characters from the original G1 cartoon and the comics, particularly the comics. I loved Shockwave in the G1 comics, because he was one of those rare characters that actually could go toe-to-toe with Megatron in an all-out, come and see everything, come and fight. You know, there's always the treachery from people like Starscream that'll catch him off guard, but Shockwave could just straight up walk up to him and punch him in the fucking face or shoot him and could actually contend with him. And I loved that. And, you know, there were the couple of incidences where Shockwave temporarily basically stole command from Megatron. I thought that was awesome. And I think the greatest thing about him is that as long as there's a logical reason for something, he just doesn't give a shit. Like, it's just... No, go ahead.
If logic dictates him to do or not do, that's what he does.
I was just going to say, too, that you know who would be dangerous to go toe-to-toe with? Credit King.
Yeah, because he's got gun toes.
Exactly.
Gun toes.
Don't forget his money shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's got orange privilege, so...
So it's part of Donald Trump's family, then.
Yeah, I can see that. But anyway, back onto Shockwave. I think in cartoon version, though, my favorite version of Shockwave, at least as far as has been actually... Because, okay, so in the G1 cartoon, Shockwave kind of got the shit end of the stick. I mean, he's really not in that many episodes. He was shown in the beginning of More Than Meets the Eye, where, you know, he was left in charge of Cybertron, and he basically didn't do shit for 8 million years.
Except hold it for the Decepticons.
Yeah. Yeah. I acknowledge
that. Also tussled with the Autobot Femmes every so often.
True. But, I mean, it's... In the cartoon, they kind of shoved him into the background and kind of ignored him, except for when it was convenient to have a Space Bridge episode.
Yeah.
So
he shot out of one of Bruticus's guns.
Yeah. But, so he kind of got the raw end of the deal, and I didn't like that. Because like I said, in the original comics, Shockwave is one of my favorite characters. He was intelligent, but also ruthless. You know, that doesn't really come across in the G1 cartoon. And he just straight up doesn't give a shit. If he's like, no, you're not going to work out, he'd just flat out kill you, and that'd be the end of it.
Because logic.
Yeah, because logic. Because giant purple laser gun.
Giant flying purple laser gun.
Yes, flying purple laser gun. Can't forget that he can fly in gun mode. Another thing that always...
Himself in one hand in one episode.
Yeah, but one thing that always weirded me out when I was a kid was the one eye. And, you know, IDW has done the whole Impurata, whatever the hell it is, thing now. But the one eye thing, yeah, the one eye thing always weirded me out as a kid. And I always wondered about that because I was like, okay, so there's the ones that have the face plates, there's the ones that have the visors, but to just have that one single eye always kind of weirded me out. You know, it was really only him and the Whirl toy that did that. And so that always struck me as odd, personally. But, yeah, G1 Shockwave is one of my favorite characters.
Which added more to the creepy factor of the character.
Yeah, because you wouldn't see him scowl, you wouldn't see him glare. He's just this single dot in the middle of the... What would you... Is that...
He's the one-eyed purple people eater.
Yeah, he's the one-eyed, one-handed flying purple people eater.
Hey, I have a theory on the whole one eye deal.
Let's hear it.
All right. My theory is that the reason why some people found it to be strange or creepy was that people have a natural tendency towards anthropomorphism, where they like to see their characters be like humans, where they have the same attributes, whereas they're humanoid, they have arms, legs, eyes, ears, mouths, etc., in the exact same proportions and or numbers that humans do. In fact, I think there's a word, and I forget what the word is. There's a word for like if you look around nature and you see faces everywhere, like if you look at an eye, like a wall socket, and you see that looks like a screaming face. There's a word for that. I forget what it is. But basically, that's like a primordial human defense mechanism to where you're supposed to like find your own kind and look for similarities in other things.
Yeah, exactly.
It's why when we look at a car, we can see a face with the headlights as eyes and the grill as a mouth.
Exactly right. Yes.
We as humans automatically try to humanize everything, which in a lot of cases is good, I guess. But in other cases, it's inappropriate.
Right, but that's my theory of why, like, he maybe I'm wrong. I'm not like a fucking licensed psychologist here or anything, but what I'm saying is maybe that might be why some people thought he was a little bit creepy, is because he doesn't follow the standard template of a human,
Oh, I completely agree.
No, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And my whole thing is I would think Cybertronians would have a myriad of, mechaforms, because why not? I mean, they don't have to. They didn't evolve, the same way that humans did. I mean, I understand that, they're a fictional creature. Humans, I get that, but why wouldn't they have a whole bunch of different formats?
Yeah.
What is from Deep Space Nine, that random changeling that showed up like halfway through the Dominion War? What did he say? What greater flattery is there? I, who can be anything, choose to be like you.
Oh, that's good. That's a good quote there. Well done. Yeah. Speaking of Deep Space Nine, I'm just going to go off topic just for 1 second. One time there was a Mad comic. You remember Mad, the magazine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a Mad comic about Deep Space Nine, and I couldn't believe that this was like Mad. Like sometimes is a little bit edgy and adult. But anyway, they had Odo as a bar stool, and they had Commander Kira sitting on it. And he's like, "I'm never going to change out of this form."
Nice.
That's what I said. All right, Shockwave.
Sure. So, but I know that Thundercracker here is not going to agree with me, but my favorite cartoon incarnation of Shockwave is from Prime.
Yes.
Same here.
And it's
absolutely.
It's not just from writing. It's because when they showed him, when they reintroduced him, they had the flashback episode where they showed him once, but when they reintroduced him at the beginning of season 3. He turned to Starscream and, was obviously agitated, and the dude's got a giant cannon for an arm as he's pointing it at Starscream. He's like, why was I left behind? And Starscream rambles out this, the last time we saw you, you were charging into a collapsing space bridge as everything was exploding. We thought you were dead. And he stares at Starscream with his creepy one eye and goes, I find your response logical. And then that was it. The argument was over, and he was like, all right, we're cool.
Yeah, that was absolutely 100% spot on Shockwave. Spot on. It was perfect.
As far as number 2s go, I found Shockwave to be the perfect foil to Starscream's bombastic, cowardly self.
Yeah.
Shockwave didn't give a shit.
No.
Hell, when in Rise of the Predacons Rising or whatever it was, when all those undead Predacons were brought back to life with Dark Energon, where Starscream would have turned tail running and screaming, Shockwave, while he was kind of sort of falling back in his tank mode, he was still putting up a bit of a fight, even if it was a losing battle.
Yeah.
How he survived, I have no idea.
Because he's Shockwave.
I take it back. Logic. That's how.
Yeah.
He probably curled up into the fetal position to make himself look dead, which is probably what Predacons, if they see something that looks dead, they're going to pass it up.
No, he survived because his one true master is logic, and he said it himself when all the dead Predacons came back to life. He said it defies all logic.
I like my explanation better.
So bam, wasn't logical, didn't affect him.
Yep. Yeah, the Prime incarnation was, in animation, the perfect incarnation of Shockwave.
His alt mode was pretty good, too.
Yeah, as far as giving him a tank, I thought that they actually, a Cybertronian tank, I thought it actually looked pretty decent.
Yeah.
Normally, I'm not a fan of Shockwave being anything other than a gun, but which is weird because I'm okay with Megatron being a tank, but Shockwave being anything but a gun usually pisses me off.
Yeah, I'm looking at the alternate mode. By the way, I'm going to go ahead and outvote all of you. And no, Transformers Prime is not the best incarnation. G1, thank you, I win. 3-1 in my favor. All right.
The G1er in the room speaketh.
What a shock. Thundercracker went with G1.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy? So anyway, I'm looking at this tank mode here, right? And, it kind of puts me to mind of a Bioroid fighter from Robotech.
Huh. Never thought of it that way.
I mean, it doesn't look exactly like a Bioroid fighter, but like the organic quality of it kind of puts me to mind of a Bioroid fighter.
Speaking of Bioroid, well, Robotech in general, I was taking a look at the page on TF Wiki for Shockwave, and under Cloud, they reused Whirl's general mold for Shockwave, and they even include a Battleoid mode.
Don't tell Harmony Gold that.
Yeah. Yeah, knowing them, they'd probably come down with a C&D letter, although since when has Hasbro listened to C&D letters?
Right.
They're more than willing to throw them out.
It's like I prepared for this rant all incorrectly, apparently, because I thought it was going to be about IDW Shockwave.
We do not speak of IDW in this room.
We're slowly edging our way towards there.
Okay.
I'll go get the whiskey.
All right. Hey, because I got a list of questions about IDW Shockwave.
All right, well, let's just jump on into it. What do you got?
Okay. All right. So I read the entire synopsis on TF Wiki about IDW Shockwave, and one word I kept thinking. Well, actually, 3 words. One word was convoluted, and the other 2 words were soap opera. Because
I think
it definitely seemed like a weird, convoluted storyline to me. Yeah. So, okay, my first question is, and you can feel free to shut me up anytime you want. I read in there that he was flamboyant as a senator and often changed his color scheme.
Yeah.
The question is, no, that didn't happen, right?
Okay, so back when IDW was still good, they started the whole ore thing with the 12, 13 ores or whatever. And originally, Shockwave's origin story was already ironclad and set. He had always been Shockwave. He'd always been the way he was. But then when all the writer changes happened and they relaunched it as MTMTE and all that shit, it kind of got bounced around and they retconned the fuck out of him. And, well, nobody can just be coldly logical with no emotion. So they rewrote him as being this kindly senator who was given to emotional outbursts and would lash out against the Senate that he worked for and got mutilated and lobotomized, and that's what turned him into the one-eyed purple people eater.
Okay, so that brings us into my second question. Emotional outbursts in the Senate. And my question is, no, that didn't really happen, did it? But I think what you just explained is, yeah, it did before after they retconned him, which retcon means, hey, they have a character one way, and then they need to change it for whatever reason, so they rewrite it another way, right?
Yep, retroactive continuity.
Okay.
Continuity, however the fuck you pronounce it, I don't know.
I'm not all that big about getting on people about how they pronounce things. I was recently told that I don't pronounce Tor correctly, and it's Tour.
What?
Yeah, it's Tour, not Tor.
The Dark Knight, right?
Like a heavy metal Tor.
Oh, Tor.
I call it a Tor.
Tour.
Yeah, it's Tour.
Apparently, it's supposed to be Tour.
It's Tour.
Tour.
It's Tour.
Yeah.
Tour,
Okay.
Tour Duty, the Tour de France.
No, it's Tour de France. I guess. I always called it Tour. Okay.
It's vernacular.
My next question here is Omega Guardians. Ellipsis. What the fuck are those? Are those Omega Sentinels?
Yes, they're basically mass-produced, mindless Omega Sentinels.
Okay. All right. My next question is here. It says here in this synopsis that I read that Shockwave installed the matrix chambers in various Cybertronians, including Orion Pax. That really happened?
Yeah.
Or was I like really high when I read that?
He
Must have been taking Beachcomber's green energon.
people who were Cybertronians of great character and self-resolve who would get fucked up by Senate goons. As he would repair them, he would build chambers in their chests capable of holding the matrix of leadership should it choose to unite with them.
Oh. Okay. Okay, so what is the Institute?
The Institute was a Cybertronian Senate-backed program where they had their pneumosurgeons reprogram dissidents into being loyal little minions to the state.
Fake restructuring sounds like.
Because to me, it sounds like a nerdy gay bar.
I'd go to it.
Basically the Cybertronian equivalent of Room 101. They
I like
torture
that.
They torture and reprogram them and basically snip away the parts of their personalities that made them dissidents.
I like that analogy.
Sounds
Okay.
like the oft mentioned but never seen Faith restructuring Command and Conquer Renegade.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in one part there, they said Soundwave didn't like post-shadow play. I always have to say shadow play. I always make air quotes. You can't see me, but I'm making air quotes when I say shadow play. Soundwave did not like post-shadow play, Shockwave, because he couldn't read his shadow played mind. So here's my question. Huh? Fucking Soundwave reads minds?
Yes.
He's been able to in the
that
G1
simple.
comics.
He's in IDW verse. There's Cybertronians called Outliers, and they have special abilities that have nothing to do with their alt modes, like Skywarp's teleporting ability and so forth.
And Trailbreaker's ability to set up a force field.
Yeah. Soundwave's hearing is so incredible that he can pick up on the thought patterns of nearby Cybertronians.
So
And-
Yeah, that's in his G1 profile.
Yeah. And so they turned that into a outlier ability. And so because of the shadow play, because he basically doesn't have stray thoughts, he can't read Shockwave's thoughts.
Oh, see, that's the thing is they didn't say it was because I guess the thoughts are making noises that he's picking up on. They just said he can read minds.
More or less.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Actually, I just want to say that I thought the Regenesis story was actually pretty neat with all the ores or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, the Spotlight Shockwave.
Yeah, it's whole Regenesis thing where he like seeds all these worlds with various ores. I thought that was pretty reminiscent, and by reminiscent I mean they stole it directly from the Primarchs from Warhammer 40k.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
Wait,
I mean
didn't
it's
Furman write that
very
one?
very similar.
the Spotlight Shockwave.
Yes, Furman did write that.
I mean, it's not like they're not like actual like demigods that they're putting on these various planets that grow up differently, but it's kind of the same thing. I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, I only have two more questions.
Okay.
At one point, I guess he gets into this big kerfuffle with the DYNO bots, which made me want to fucking kill somebody. So anyway, the DYNO bots, he's in a fight with them, and this is post shadow play, and he just like turns off his logic and then turns on his like primal rage and then fucks them all up. So apparently, what's like the point of shadow play if you can just say, oh yeah, well fuck shadow play, I know I've been through the procedure and all, but I'm going to turn that off and be really like ragey.
Well, you see, the thing about
One
that
word, and
is
it's Jimmy Bobby's favorite thing to do. Retcon.
retcon.
That was before Jimmy Bobby retconned the fuck out of Shockwave.
Yeah, that was Simon Furman. He was sticking with the G1 version of Shockwave as much as he could. And the rage algorithm is the way they went ahead and explained that. Shockwave had installed said rage algorithm to go off in certain scenarios.
Basically,
And
kind of like a battle short.
Yeah, he gave himself an artificial gut instinct so he could make spontaneous decisions in a fight.
Oh, that makes
A battle
sense. But
sword,
like
basically.
the way they had it in the timeline of the synopsis that I read, it seemed like that happened after the shadow play. So I'm like, huh?
no. This was pre Jimmy Bobby.
Okay.
During the
Because
superior
Shadow
Scrum
Play and Parada were creations of Jimmy Bobby and company, and they added that later. They basically raped the original bio of Shockwave to suit their more sensitive readership, because a purely logical character was just not, it sent people to safe spaces.
Okay. So there's apparently a space bridge inside Megatron's body.
Yes.
Huh?
It's a space bridge node. It is not a full load space bridge. He can take like 5 or 6 other Cybertronians with him at once. And that was built into him by Shockwave after All Hail Megatron.
Yes.
Him his new stealth bomber body.
Okay. So this is my last question, right? So at some point, Shockwave gathers up these various ores, and then he figures out that he can combine some of these various ores. And I guess like he gains control over like all molecular matter in the universe, and he can like control time at some point. And then Megatron goes, "Hey, I'm an Autobot," and then he goes, "Wow, that's really weird. I need you guys to kill me now because I can't compute that." Huh?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that
you
was
serious? Depleting
that was-
uranium? Fuck.
That was
Hey, that's my line.
That was the conclusion to Dark Cybertron. In a nutshell, that's probably the best summation I've ever heard of it.
I mean, he had control over like all molecules in the universe, and then he had control of time. So basically, he was omnipotent or omnipotent. Whatever you want to say it.
He was basically
And
God.
shows up and goes, "Hey, I'm an Autobot now," and he goes, "Well, shit, that's really weird. Kill me."
Yeah, it clusterfucked his brain up so bad that it caused a reboot, and the kindly Senator Shockwave showed up and said, "Well, you guys need to kill me, otherwise all this crazy crap I put into motion is still going to happen."
And here's the thing too: is like, how could one have possibly have kept track of all that shit that was going on through like 90 different comics?
The same way that a conspiracy theorist keeps track of his theories. You know that.
I mean, that's
big ball
fucking
of
Catcher in
crazy.
the Rye shit right there. Okay, I'm done
Dale
asking
Gribble.
questions.
That's it.
Thank
It
you
is.
for
Dale
asking.
Gribble.
Thank you for answering.
Just
Hate to like throw it off track there, but go ahead.
No, after the end of Dark Cybertron, I went out back and stood in my shed staring at a gun for about 10 minutes.
I couldn't get through Dark Cybertron for the most part because of what they had done to Shockwave. This is one of my favorite characters and has been one of my favorite characters for over 30 years. And what they did to him, yeah, that's on one of my major rage scenarios with
Yeah. Also, I guess
IDW.
Waspinator's Stinger controlled Necro Titan.
The original Titan that was Necro Titan. Waspinator has this weird fucking ability to where he stabs them in their spark chamber with his stinger. He can develop a sympathetic psychic link to them.
They didn't bother saying that. They just said Shockwave took his stinger and gained control over it. That would have made more sense had they said that part.
Yeah.
You mean that Waspinator stabbed the Detroit of the Titans and took control of it?
He wasn't the Detroit of the Titans yet. Back then, he was still like Detroit in the late 70s.
Oh, okay.
He was still pretty primo, and then Shockwave put the death ore in him, and he became modern-day Detroit, crumbling and ruining everything that comes in contact with it.
Ah.
I was
Which
wondering
is
how the property
dumb.
values fell.
It's like what IDW has done to Shockwave sickens me.
And, oh, by the way, Pyro, I got to thank you, because for a long time, while I didn't like the notion of Senator Shockwave, I found it interesting, and I couldn't figure out why. And then at the last rant, I think it was, you made the comment about the splash panels of him being turned into the one-eyed purple Shockwave was all of Darth Vader, and that made me realize that's why I found it interesting. And now that I've consciously correlated that, I no longer care.
Why? Just why? Why was it necessary? I'm not grasping the reason why it was necessary to take a character as good and as developed as Shockwave had been in the comics.
No, you remember the Darkwing Duck episode where they travel back in time and all the stupid dinosaurs' mottos are improve it or move it, and all their improvements are awful? That's what happened.
That sounds like what would happen if you put the Dinobots in charge of city planning.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so like I was reading the synopsis, and like every like bizarre event, they would say, "But that was part of his plan all along."
Yeah.
Like when I guess.
What is he, Zinch now?
Yeah, exactly. It was Galvatron and somebody else was coming across from the dead universe.
Nemesis Prime.
Yeah, Nemesis Prime, and I guess one of them couldn't make it. Galvatron made it, and they're like, "Yeah, but that was just part of his plan. That wasn't just by happenstance that happened." Like, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Jimmy Bobby likes to do that often, write himself into a corner, and then when it's discovered that he does it, he like retcons the reason why in. And while it's been done by other comic writers, his way of doing it is so ridiculous. It boggles my mind. It completely boggles my mind. I don't understand.
Let's look at three heavy Decepticon hitters that have fallen victim to what IDW has become. Let's start with Shockwave, since he's the main subject of this rant. Shockwave, they basically incorporated Darth Vader's origin story into Shockwave. Yes, they took some creative license with it, but basically it's Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
The redeemable villain.
Megatron was the leader of the evil opposition who believed that his kind were superior to everyone else, but suddenly he switched sides at the end because he resolved issues, saw what damage he was doing, and became one of the quote-unquote good guys. That's basically Magneto. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Overlord. Overlord was born different, stronger than everybody else, was put through a super soldier program and combined with various crazy, super rare, indestructible elements to make him an unstoppable killing machine. Wolverine, yes or no?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They are literally stealing all of their ideas from other stories and incorporating them into Transformers to try and make up for the fact that they are awful writers.
Yeah.
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 When you pull away all the like window dressing, yeah, I see what you're saying there.
It's it's a feeble, not so veiled attempt to drag in people who read actual comic books by actual good writers. And no, you can't do that.
I have a different theory. I think it's they're just rehashing very popular stories, and then they're putting them into their own Transformers genre, because they assume that a lot of these young fans that are reading IDW Transformers couldn't make the connection between Shockwave and Darth Vader, or Overlord and Wolverine and Megatron. And what was the Megatron one?
Magneto.
Magneto, yeah.
Yeah.
And to older fans, it's a blatant, open-face insult.
If you want to do all these changes, at least do it as a hard reboot,
Yes! I wouldn't be so irate with current IDW comics if it had been a hard reboot where they completely disregarded any and all aspects of the old comic. But Jimmy Bobby is not that good of a writer, and he cherry picks what he wants from old IDW and flushes what he doesn't.
Yeah,
And you can't do that.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The tragedy of James Roberts is that when he works under other comic writers, he actually produces good stuff.
Yes, when he worked under Costa, he produced one of the finest scenes in all of Transformers comic book history. The scene with Megatron and Prime having their little talk. It was brilliant. It was utterly brilliant.
It showed that when you strip all the egos away, they're just two old soldiers who have honestly been fighting so long they don't know what else to do.
It's pure perfection. The conversation, the way it went down, the whole thing was pure perfection. But when Jimmy Bobby is given his own thing with no one to answer to, he just whips out his thing and pees all over everything.
He's left his dick prints all over the comics.
So
right.
Here's my thing, and I've told this same thing to fans of Bayformers as well. If you want to totally change an established what do you want to call it, canon. If you want to totally change an established canon, like they did with Bayformers and like they did in the IDW comics, if you want to do that, that's fine. But here's the thing: I think it's kind of disingenuous of the people who are doing the changes to use one of the established characters. Because how many established G1 characters are there? Say what, 300 maybe? 400?
Roughly, yeah.
And how many inhabitants of Cybertron do you think there are? A billion?
Probably more.
They have an effectively infinite supply of other characters they could do all their stuff to, but they try to, and it's, like I said, it's disingenuous in my opinion of them to use established characters, because that's their way of drawing in the older fans. And if they're going to draw in the older fans, they, in my opinion, have to put up with the bitching of the older fans about what they've done to establish characters. And if not, they can fucking tongue my afterburners.
Yeah. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, fucking A.
So is G2.
And the older fans want their fucking fix. See, now I said I was going to do a positive rant. Now as soon as we mentioned IDW, it just fucking degenerated.
Well, that's what happens when you bring IDW in. It's going to degenerate into a fist-waving, shame on you, go fuck yourself scenario.
Okay, how about this then? You don't need to name the actual comic or anything, but what was your favorite Shockwave story arc or just individual one-shot, whether it be a comic or a cartoon or anything? I'm going to start first. My favorite was in the G1 comics when he came to Earth and he forcibly took control of the Decepticons from Megatron.
Mine as well.
See, I liked when the female Autobots were like stealing the Energon out from under his nose, and he couldn't shoot at them correctly in the G1 cartoon.
Yeah,
Now that might take you by surprise. I chose the G1 cartoon.
I'm shocked. I'm really.
I know you're all shocked about that.
I'm shock waved.
Haha, zinger.
Damn it, beat me to it.
Pertinent zinger.
Oh, boo.
That leaves you, Brawl.
I'm at a loss for words all of a sudden. I have no idea why. I remember why I'm at a loss for words. I'm still hung up on all the shit Jimmy Bobby's done.
Hey, so in like my favorite Shockwave toy, right? This again is probably going to take you for a shock.
What?
Was the G1 Shockwave toy? Okay.
You know what? I actually really like him when he's all gray in the Radio Shack version.
Yeah, the Galactic Man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that
He
one.
actually looks oddly really good when he's all gray.
He does indeed. You know, he almost has like an Imperial, like a Star Wars Imperial look to him, almost in my opinion.
Huh.
Yeah.
But what I got the G1 Shockwave when I was really young, and I broke it to where it would no longer make the noises. And
your parents rejoiced.
no, they didn't rejoice because I cried about that so much. He threw such a big fit and cried so much that my mom took pity on me and went out and bought me another.
Wow.
See, that's the reason why when you buy a G1 Shockwave nowadays, most of them either have the battery door missing or the sound system no longer works.
The wires cut, yeah.
The G1 Shockwave was so loud. I mean, it was on decibels approaching like aircraft turbines.
So I loved it.
And parents would cut wires, conveniently lose battery doors. A friend of mine bought one, and the sound wouldn't work. And all the wires and whatnot were intact, and he couldn't figure out why. Then I took the speaker door off.
Wow.
In the little tiny speaker, there were pinholes poked all in the speaker. And I'm like, that, ladies and gentlemen, was an angry parent. Right there.
I think the only thing that trumps Shockwave's noise-making ability were Trypticon's motors.
Yeah.
I've had 2 Trypticons in my life that were original G1 Trypticons, and that son of a bitch is the loudest fucking toy.
Yes, it is. And not only that, it's like all of the fighting would be done by the time he got there.
I know. Oh, Trypticon's coming off here.
Yeah, that's another reason why you won't find many Trypticon toys in aftermarket that actually walk.
Yeah,
The
they're rare.
motors have been destroyed.
Is anybody familiar with the toys, the Animals?
No.
They were like big off-road vehicles, and like claws would come out of their tires.
Yes.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, wait, yeah, I remember those.
Let me tell you something about those versus Trypticon. Trypticon loses because we actually had that fight, and shockingly, Trypticon got knocked over by the Animal because can anything stop the Animal?
I remember that the animal that I had couldn't go up like a 30-degree incline.
Fuck no, carpet would fuck it up too.
You had to aim it downhill on a perfectly smooth surface, but it was still badass.
It was fucking. I mean, if you got a truck that has claws coming out of the tires, that's win.
Yeah.
80s boy toys.
Fucking amazing toys.
Were those, what were they called? The moon shoes?
Those were very dangerous.
I know, that's what made them so great.
Talk about the ones you could bounce.
Yes.
They were like shoes made out of trampolines. They were awesome.
Nice.
And they were super, super dangerous, but they were awesome. Need to bring those back. Cut the millennials down a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say wheedle the population out a little bit. Which the animal did you have? Did you have the red trailbreaker looking one, the black trailbreaker looking one, or the yellow sports car looking one?
I had the yellow one.
Nice.
I also used to have an RC yellow Impala that actually had like the controller had buttons and it would actually do like hydraulic lift shit.
Sweet.
Nice.
Did it have the La Cucaracha horn on it?
No, it did not. I couldn't afford that one.
A 6-bow Impala. That's fucking sweet.
Back when you could do half your Christmas shopping at Radio Shack.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you remember the Wish book that would come out every year?
Oh yeah.
Yes, I do remember those.
Big thick catalog was great.
I was a product of the JCPenney catalog. That's when Christmas started in my house, is when the JCPenney catalog arrived. Rip the pages out and circle what you wanted.
So I think what you're saying by that is James Roberts sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I used to get like Lego catalogs in the mail back in the mid '90s.
This back when I was first getting into like anime and shit, my parents actually went and got like a mail order. And for those listening, this is back before the internet was a reliable thing to order stuff through. They brought home a catalog with a bunch of Japanese toys and stuff in it. And I was flipping through it, and this is back when I was first getting into like Beast Wars and shit, and they had the Beast Wars 2 stuff, and they had the original White Lion Leo Convoy toy.
Uh-huh, yeah, nice.
And I was like, I want that. I need that. I must have that. That right there. That right there. I must have that. So.
Leo Convoy's underrated in my opinion.
Yeah, he is. He doesn't get. He really doesn't get the praise he deserves. I mean,
they in my opinion, they even give Die Atlas a lot more attention than Leo Convoy.
Yeah.
Whose fault is that?
Well, it's weird too because Zone is kind of obscure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's like, what, one episode?
Yep.
And I don't even think it was a complete episode.
And,
I think they had to complete it like 20 years later.
And Devastator threatens to drill a wind hole in Die Atlas's back, and it's very awkward for everybody.
And Predaking gets sliced in half.
Yeah, and he gets
bisected right down the middle, and you can see inside of his brain.
Yeah, his brain looks organic.
Yeah, there is a reason why Zone is only one episode, because it was what the fuck.
Plus, gestalts and capes. That's just weird.
The only part I liked about it was when the Micromasters were rallying to try and fend off the Decepticon generals. Just because I like that kind of shit.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Speaking of Micromasters, IDW could do a whole thing on Micromasters. They could, like, make them all, like, I don't know, fucking lumberjacks. And nobody would give a shit because they're Micromasters.
Yeah.
Didn't
They'd
do
probably
Micromasters,
change the rector's
though?
name.
They started doing the Micromasters. It was Spotlight.
Nightbeat.
I want to say
Nightbeat.
yeah.
Nightbeat.
I think that was the last comic that I bought, was Spotlight
Yeah.
Nightbeat.
That planet that they were investigating, they were slowly evolving into Cybertronian-like life,
Yes.
and they could
Wasn't
turn into
Nebula,
tiny
was it?
cars. But technically now one of the colony worlds is the Micromaster Combiners, because each of them are they exist as a set of two, and they combine into a single small vehicle, and they're super tiny.
I remember those.
Oh, yeah.
I had them.
The only one of my Micromasters that is prominently displayed is Flat Top.
I remember being like, you know what? I'm gonna take this jet. I'm gonna put a tank on the back of it because why not?
Yeah. Halfway to Blitzwing right there.
Yeah, because tank.
That's a half-ass Blitzwing is what it is. Literally. because half the ass is a tank. I think we touched off on that once. The putting part of a dump truck on with the ass end of a jet.
What was it? There was one of the MicroMasters had a trailer. It was like a rocket base or something like that. He was the same color as Onslaught.
Come.
I can't remember what he was called, but I used to have him. And I used to always think that was weird that, like, the toy was, like, as big as a regular, ordinary Transformer toy. But the actual robot was just like the MicroMaster.
Yeah, it was a little. Wait a minute. There was one that was like a little red car that had a blue hook that came out over top of it, and then it had a gigantic rocket base that it carried around with it.
Yeah.
4 times the size of the thing it was carrying, or
Yep.
the thing was carrying it. Yeah.
The MicroMasters were, that was a weird time for Transformers.
It really was.
It was an awkward age.
Mm-mm-mm.
They were,
Yeah.
You know what though?
I got rough
I can still
stuff
look back
somewhere,
on,
but he doesn't hold together very well.
I can still look back on the G1 cartoons, and you know, I mean, yeah, they're cheesy and all, but they make sense. And I was trying to explain to somebody that the reason why they go Righty whenever they fucking talk about Prime is because in G1 they were usually, for the most part, and not always, but usually, one episode for one story. Whereas in writing, they could have story arcs that would go across multiple episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the G1 cartoon came out in the infancy of action cartoons in the West. And we had not yet developed story arcs, like broad sweeping, season wide story arc ideas yet. We hadn't incorporated that in
you know
quite
what?
yet.
Ah, shit.
You know what? At least the G1 fans
No.
are completely honest about the fact that it was a half-hour toy
Right.
commercial.
Yes. Yes.
You know what have made
The
G1 better?
Rebirth was an hour and a
Starscream
half
Go-Go Boots
commercial.
and spent 5 minutes explaining the Romeo and Juliet law. Oh, no, wait, that's really fucking stupid.
Because the character was stale.
Yeah, there you go.
And raspy for the sake of raspiness is boring.
I thought it was the fact that his voice sounded too soft.
I'm sorry, but if you don't like the voice characterizations of Chris Latta, then I can't
There's
really.
something wrong with you.
I really can't.
Nobody
Gotta have a whole lot of love.
else in the history of humanity has had a raspy and yet high-pitched voice like that. And they never shall again.
No.
Plus, he was on Star Trek as one of those really dumb aliens.
That narrows it down.
No. Like there was a whole group of really dumb aliens that like they would go around the universe and they would steal advanced technology from other races.
Oh, Packlids. The
And
Packlids.
and they tried to steal Geordi.
Yep. Because they find things that make them go. And Jordy
Yeah,
can
there you go.
make them go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, acting like I just said I had fucking lobsters coming out of my eyes just now. I was on the right track. God damn it.
All right, well, I think that covers it for the Shockwave rant then.
And extra stuff.
All right, well, I'd like to thank all my guests. I'd like to thank Brawl the Decepticon, Cuz Tank.
Cause Tank.
I'd like to thank Pyrostrata.
You're welcome. It's been
And
fun.
And Thundercracker.
Hey, horns up.